Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Business is Personal. I'm Dr. Corrie and I have an amazing topic for you today. We are talking about mindfulness. So with me, my guests are Wendy, Helen, and Dominic. Thank you so much for being with us today. And it's an amazing topic. Take a deep breath, everyone, because we're going to learn today what the impact of mindfulness is on your organization. If you don't mind, just take 30 seconds and introduce us to who you are and what your discipline in mindfulness is. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Wendy Shaw, and I'm an NLP trainer, coach. I've also done hypnotherapy. What I'm most passionate about now is M-braining, so aligning the head, heart, gut, and that's all part of mindfulness-ing.
Brilliant.
Hello, I'm Helen Williams. I'm the owner of Mindful Me here in the Middle East, which is a company that's set up to enable people to learn mindfulness, live mindfulness, and be mindful.
Excellent.
I'm Dominic. I work with Gabitas as an educational consultant and also a relatively new company here in Dubai called the Free Spirit Project as a mindfulness teacher. So we provide mindfulness courses for workplaces and in schools as well, and for individuals around Dubai.
Excellent. All right, so a couple of stats. Mindfulness is now 7.5% of a $15 billion alternative healthcare industry in the United States. We know that Google, Apple, Nike, Goldman Sachs, General Mills, they all use mindfulness in their corporate offices. Why? Why would a company invest in what is essentially meditation? Why would they do that? Wendy?
Okay, well really, if you want to get the best out of people, you want them to be at their best.
Yeah.
So practicing mindfulness techniques in an organization is going to be key to increasing productivity and also bottom line results.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think?
I think it's about learning to be present. That most people aren't here when they're at work, they're somewhere else altogether. And if mindfulness can help you to be here, productivity naturally increases, but also does presence within a person.
Yeah, very good. Dom, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely, I agree with you two completely. And also it really helps with difficult situations, and obviously in a big company there's many difficult situations that will be encountered, and mindfulness really helps people to deal with them and respond effectively to all sorts of different scenarios that will come up and maybe cause issues.
Yeah, sure. See, I see exactly in those things. Here's where I see the application. One is in crisis response, the ability to respond to a crisis meaningfully. One is in attention mastery. We have so many distractions. There's so many emails, so many messages. We're all on WhatsApp or Slack or Messenger, and we've got emails coming in. I was with one of my executive coaching clients this last week, said he has 400 unread messages in his email inbox. Now, how can you possibly be mindful with that kind of environment? You have this nagging distraction all of the time. So I think attention mastery is a big thing, crisis mastery, and then of course, decision-making quality. So decision-making quality is number one with executives, especially when they have so many resources behind them. How does mindfulness contribute to a higher quality of decision? Wendy?
Oh, well, have you ever made a bad decision because you're stressed?
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. So by de-stressing and becoming fully present and being able to focus while making a decision is crucial.
Okay, but from a practical perspective, how much time does that actually take?
It depends how quickly you can become present.
Very good.
Yeah.
Seconds, minutes, hours?
Seconds, minute, couple of minutes max.
Right. So it's not a huge investment of time, right?
No.
Okay. Helen?
You know, I've often thought about mindfulness as a preventative. So learning to be mindful before you begin your day and then basing everything on that means it takes one breath and I'm back again. But I have to know how to do that, and I have to be conscious of my body so that I would know I need a breath right now to be present.
One breath.
One breath.
Really?
When you've learned how to practice it, one good breath creates this great space within, and everything, of course, exists within us. So then you can open to it, can't you?
Right. Dominic?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's interesting because on the one hand, there does need to be some sort of commitment and dedication to it made, because obviously we need to recognize that being mindful and being present is very important for every aspect of life, not just for business, not just for being at home, but all the time. So whilst it is as simple as one breath, I 100% agree. I really do think there needs to be time dedicated to it in the first place. When we give interest to something, it becomes a big part of our lives, and then it blossoms and you can see the benefits.
Right. So a good deal of our audience today will be HR managers in regular companies looking for advice on how to do business better. And they're going to think meditation, mindfulness, this is all very airy-fairy stuff. It can't possibly impact the bottom line. Why would we invest in it? Have you seen the impact in the lives of the people that you've worked with? Wendy?
Yes. I work quite a lot with senior leaders, business owners, and for them to just be able to take that breath, it makes them a better leader, which has a massive impact on the whole team. So the whole environment can shift and change based on one person.
But do people really need to learn how to breathe? Helen?
Yes,
They do. When I was a lot younger, I learned to become a yoga teacher. And of course, yoga teaching is all about the body, the breath, and the thinking interact with each other. But one breath creates the space for us in order to be present with ourselves first. And you think in big business, under an enormous amount of stress, everyone is really caught up in the voice in their head. Am I doing this properly? Am I making a mistake? Yesterday it was really bad. What's going to happen in the future? Which completely clouds what's happening now.
Yeah.
And if you learn how to, that one breath provides me with everything I need in that moment, then I can function using all the correct parts of my body in order.
And you've seen this in your clients at work?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Dominic?
I agree 100% with that, and I think it's not about learning how to breathe, because obviously everybody knows how to breathe, it's an instinctive function, but it's about bringing your attention to the things which are unconscious. So it's amazing the effect when you simply do pay attention to your breath. People are really amazed. Every time I've taught mindfulness to any age group, people really, you can see a change in people when they just start to be present with what's always there. Because as you said, we're so caught up in the stories. It's really challenging.
It's right. And typically, I find that a lot of my executive coaching clients are the same. I don't go into mindfulness until I've done 4 or 5 sessions with them so that we have some rapport and stuff, because they don't want to get into something that personal right away. But I found the impact is in bringing them into something that's present. Like you said, Dom, taking the breath is very powerful because it releases them from the fear of the past or the fear of the future, right? Or grief from the past and fear of the future, right? It brings them into what is going on right now and the resources they have now, and the resources are pretty much all within them. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely.
Well, what would your advice be for HR managers? We've got like an HR manager in Dubai looking at this now saying, you know what, okay, maybe I buy into the mindfulness thing. Where do I start? Wendy?
Well, I would say that the Chinese symbol for mindfulness is presence of heart.
Oh, really?
So if you think about business today, we're so head-based. We have headquarters, we have heads of department. It's all head. So how do you bring in that mindfulness? You need to connect with your heart.
Right.
Taking that breath helps you connect internally to become more present in the moment and more clear-headed, if you like.
That's a fantastic thought. To have a heart of department position.
Absolutely.
That would be so good, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay, HR directors, just consider the idea of the language. Just open the language up to have a heart of department position in your major functions.
Yes.
Helen?
I spent the morning yesterday with some heads of HR. and what I noticed actually was how present they were to the conversation.
Sure.
So they were asking how we could help them. And I said, why are you so present to this conversation? This is what I'm noticing. And they said, we're really interested in the topic of mindfulness.
Yeah.
What do you know about it? Nothing. I said, so how are you going to sell what we are telling you to your corporation if you don't know about it? Come and do a mindfulness workshop. And their eyes lit up. You know it. You live it. You understand it. You'll be able to sell it to everybody.
Right.
So yes, they'll come, they said.
Wow.
It's like, do it. Do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a discipline of doing.
Absolutely. And I think at the moment, everyone can recognize that there's something missing, and people are realizing all over the world, and this is why mindfulness has become such a big thing, is that we can feel something, we're not exactly sure what it is, but something's missing, and it's just that foundational well-being, which I believe is missing. And every time we speak to companies, as you said, the people's eyes light up when they hear that there might be a different way of going about things, which is going to decrease their stress and make everybody feel happier. If you have a company full of people that are happy, then the company will flourish. It seems simple to me, obviously, unless there's all sorts of issues, but you know what I mean? Generally speaking, it's people need to be happy to do well.
Okay, so there's two topics coming from that I want to talk about. One is the impact on healthcare, and the other one is the impact on happiness. So first of all, healthcare. I know that there was a study done with Aetna Insurance. They started instituting mindfulness in Aetna, and they reduced the healthcare costs per employee by $2,000 per year after introducing mindfulness. That's a major bottom line. It's a straight bottom line impact cost, right? Like it's just right into net profit. So where have you seen the impact of mindfulness on the health and well-being of the people that you're working with?
I'd say when people are more mindful, they're more connected below the neck. I'm going back to this again. But heart is all about connection.
Yeah.
If you think about happiness, happiness is an emotion. It's a feeling that is only experienced moment to moment. So if you're more connected, then you're happier in your workplace.
Right.
It's also about people. If you either like the people that you work with, or you tolerate them, or you dislike them,
Right.
is that going to impact how you feel at work? Absolutely.
Very
If
good.
you're in a caring environment and very supportive, you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah. Helen, impact on healthcare?
Healthcare and stress, to me, hold hands.
For sure.
Hold hands with each other. So the impact on people's health when they're actually understanding why they're stressed and what stress does. And mindfulness and stress hold hands with each other.
Yeah.
I've seen enormous changes in health in a company, often from the top down. When someone at the very top has a vast health problem, heart attack, etc., very high blood pressure, or something enormous happening, a grief or a loss, and they practice mindfulness and it changes their health, that has a huge impact on people in the company.
Absolutely.
Often why we're asked actually to present mindfulness to people. Look what's happened. We can see it.
Brilliant. Dominic?
Absolutely. There's so many instances where people are actually going to work when they're under too much stress, and then they're performing badly at work as well, which is something which isn't necessarily talked about that much. So on the one hand, you've got this idea that you were talking about, where if you're happy in your company and you're happy at work, then you want to go in there. So even if maybe you're feeling a bit under the weather, and in other circumstances, if you don't enjoy your work, then you won't want to go in as much. But if you actually really love the team you're working with, and you know what you're doing, and you feel you've got a purpose in what you're doing, then you're more likely to go into work as well.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so HR directors out there, the study that I mentioned of Aetna Insurance, they found that they reduced their healthcare costs, but the bottom line benefit to that company from introducing mindfulness was $3,000 per employee per year. So if you want to widen the net margin for your company, why not give mindfulness a shot? In terms of implementing this, okay, so say we've got our HR director on board and he says, yes, I want to do that. Where do they start? Is it a one-day program? Is it a day a month for every employee? Is it a 5-day workshop? What do they do? Do they call someone?
Absolutely.
Wendy?
Yeah, first of all, they have to connect with somebody who they feel is credible.
Yeah.
So look for somebody who has the credibility in their
Right.
business and the experience to come in, have a conversation, find out what it is that you're looking for,
Yeah.
and then propose different options, alternatives. It could be a one-day and follow-up. It could be a series of workshops.
What have you seen most effective?
Starting with the senior team,
Good.
because everybody follows their examples.
Yeah, and also HR directors out there, there is no such thing as a grassroots movement in an organization. All of the research has kiboshed that. Every meaningful change in an organizational culture is top-down. Start with the executives. Helen?
I agree. Top down is how we present it too, but usually we're asked because somebody already has some insight about a mindfulness, and often it's the manager or the GM. Then they ask us to come and talk about it, and we usually propose to begin with that you have an understanding. Let's do a mindfulness workshop together. Maybe an hour a month, maybe a 2-hour, maybe once a week, whatever fits your corporation. Let's do that, and then let's build on it after you all have a base.
Is it something that you would do with the executives collectively or independently?
Often we like being called into small firms where usually everyone takes part together.
Brilliant.
And I love it like that.
Yeah, brilliant. That's how Steve Jobs started it at Apple, by the way.
He did.
Is he didn't call it mindfulness at that time. That wasn't a catchphrase. It was like brain technology or thought technology or something like that. But when he brought it to Apple, he did it himself, and then he brought it to the senior team, and then they did it together. Dominic, what have you seen?
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to echo what you guys have said. I think it's absolutely got to be top down. I think because mindfulness is an approach to living totally, it's not just an approach to one thing. It really needs to be, you need the bosses on board and understanding and actually really caring about it, because it needs to permeate the whole culture of the business, and that's when you see real changes going on. I've seen lots of potential movements kind of fail within schools and within other places because it's just one person who's very passionate, but everyone else doesn't really get on board. So it doesn't really work in those situations. And just quickly on the other aspect of what you were saying, research seems to suggest, the number they're going with is an 8-week period. So 2 hours every week for 8 weeks is the program that we offer.
Okay, 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. That sets the culture.
Yes, and it gives you enough time to really ingrain that as a habit, because 8 weeks is sort of seems to be this magic mark where habits are allowed to really become solid.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I don't want it to escape our attention, was the impact on happiness. So happiness is a massive theme in Dubai. We're like going to be the happiest city on the planet soon because we have a minister of happiness and we're all about happiness. So what is the actual impact of mindfulness on the happiness of the people in the organization and the organization as a whole? Wendy?
More connection, better relationships, people living on purpose. I'd say it's connecting with, it's being at their best. It's being fully present. When they're at work, they're working.
Yeah.
And they're being so mindful that they're connected. So it's massive.
On that topic, one of my clients in the last couple of years, won't tell you who it is, said that their actual productivity, they measured the productivity of the majority of their people, and 80% of their people, their actual productivity was a little less than 4 hours a day. Right? So if we can get people to be mindful, to be aware of where they are, to be focused, be able to master their attention, to be able to master their distractions, master their crises, and know where they are and why they're there. And as you said, live on purpose. I think that is a huge phrase, and I don't want that to get lost in the conversation. Live on purpose. That is a massive benefit of mindfulness. And even if we can increase the productivity from 4 hours to say 5.5, wouldn't that make a massive impact over the year of that organization? Absolutely. Helen, what have you seen, the impact on happiness?
But happiness, when you think about it, is a byproduct of all the other things being in place.
Yeah.
And when happy people come to work, then they happily do their work and they happily relate to each other. But first of all, it has to start from within, doesn't it? And so when they're inside of themselves, happily connected to me, then I want to be here in the present moment, doing what I'm doing. All moments become present. All moments become happiness then, don't they? Yeah. So here we are. I'm happy doing this.
Yeah, right.
Me too.
Dominic?
I would agree 100%, and I think we've all had so many instances in our own lives we can think of where you're not fully present when you're speaking to somebody, and how much magic happens then? Let's be honest, it just doesn't. So how many meetings are there had at work where everyone's got something different on their mind because they're being dragged in a million different directions, but actually when we're present together, suddenly the magic happens. I've seen it so many times, and I really believe, like you said, it's about being present with the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so a couple of quick, if you had a 1-minute elevator pitch to give somebody, if somebody, an executive comes up to you, Jeff Bezos comes up to you in an elevator and says, okay, so you're a mindfulness coach. We've got the next 30 floors for you to tell me one quick tip for how to improve my mindfulness at work. What would you say?
I'd say breathe, practice your breathing. To get into a balanced, coherent state takes practice. So just breathe. The optimum is 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, which is a long time.
Yeah.
I'm now on, I think, about 8-9, which is great because it's just a couple of breaths. I am in just a great place.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love the notion of being in the elevator.
Yeah.
So while we're going from the bottom to the top, actually be present. What is happening right now? What are you experiencing in this moment? What can you hear, taste, smell, touch? What are you aware of? Mindfulness to me is awareness. It really is a present moment conscious awareness. Now we're on the top floor. What did you experience? That was mindfulness.
Yeah. Dominic?
I'd say when you're experiencing times of intense stress, just have a look at the weather pattern occurring inside. Have a look at what your own mind is saying to you, and just really question it and see if you really need to buy into that and keep acting in that stressed and rushed way, or if you could just let go and start again.
Good. So, quick tip for you. Take 5 deep breaths, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, and that should change your state of mind. If you're able to keep that up for a longer period of time, make sure you have a notepad and a pen next to you, because all of the distractions that could possibly come to mind will. And if you write them down, it will give your frontal lobe permission to forget them, because you'll have a place where they're all written down. Otherwise, you'll continue to be distracted and you won't be mindful at all. So, great tips for mindfulness. Thank you so much for being with us today. This is Business is Personal, and you have definitely made business personal today. And we hope that this leads our audience to you and to a greater impact in their own jobs and their own personal lives. So we had this great idea just to do a 1-minute mindfulness experience, so that we can show people what it looks like and help to demystify the process a little bit. Helen, would you lead us?
Yes, I'd love to do that. So I'm going to suggest we do it like this. We're going to give you a task, and when you've got something to focus on, then you'll be practicing mindfulness. So the task goes like this. Watch your posture, sit up nice and straight if you can. It helps you to breathe. Close your eyes gently. Take a nice deep breath in to begin with. Sigh the energy out. Settle your body now and pay attention to your breathing. What I'm going to do is time us just 1 minute, and I'm going to suggest to you, as I say we're starting now, I want you to use attention to sound. We're in a really quiet space right now, and I want you to pay attention to how many different sounds you can count. Watch your breathing at the same time. So let's start that right now. So take another nice deep breath in now. And as you release the energy of that, it's really interesting to ask when you open your eyes, what number did you get to? And what's just one word that you could use to describe your experience of doing that? What would you say, Corrie?
6.
And what's the word you'd use to describe your experience?
Curious.
What for you, Wendy?
I forgot to count. Dozens. So many different sounds.
Yes.
Yeah. One word. Life.
What was yours?
Got to about 4, I think. My word would be lovely.
It is. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment. When you give your brain something to engage with, actually count the number of sounds and watch your breath at the same time. Then you're present in the moment, aren't you? Yeah. It's really effective.
Excellent.
Dozens.
I got to 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love the bird at the end.
Yes, and wasn't it lovely?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Helen. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks.